Hello and welcome to Roosevelt Rebel with your host Tisa Rebel Beltran. Good evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are in your day. I am going to be doing a special episode today, as I said in the last episode. This is a special episode. This is my human trafficking activist project. I was going to interview someone who had been human trafficked that I know very closely, but they were unavailable due to our schedule conflicts. But that is okay. I had a backup just to be safe, because as you know, things in life don't always go the way that you're planning. So you should always have a backup or something. But I just want to say thank you for tuning in tonight. Today, I'm going to discuss human trafficking with you. And as you guys know, that I do talk to you about the things that I'm learning as I've been in school since I've started this podcast, and anything that I find very interesting and I want to share with you guys that I share with you. And I've also given you some information from some of this course already in previous podcasts over the past few months. That I found very interesting. So I might hit on those topics again as I'm doing this project tonight. So I hope you enjoy this episode. And so the first thing I want to do is just do a little introduction about human trafficking. So, you know, in the beginning of the course, I know I've discussed it with you guys before, was we had to do some modern slavery kind of activities where I told you guys that I had owned like 31 or 33 slaves compared to what the things that we owned, the things that I owned in like in my closet, my shoes, where it came down to the things that I ate, and my technology devices and stuff like that. So, as I said, in that is something that we touched on, and there were people in the course that were upset because they were told that they owned like 60 or 70 slaves, and they were like, "Wow, I didn't know that I had, that much used that much in society as in the eating out or you know getting their clothing from certain places, and that was considered, as it was just an activity. It wasn't like for serious, but some people were upset, and I got like 30 something slaves. I don't remember. It was too early in the semester, but I knew it was a low number. It was not the lowest number, but I knew it was low because in 2012 I decided to become a minimalist, and I got rid of a lot of things that I owned, and I made sure to always ask myself, do I need this? Do I need to spend the money? And just throw my money into savings, because in case of an emergency, because if it's something that I don't need to really buy, I don't buy it. Everything that I have in my area is something that is going to be used. It's not just going to sit there. And just recently, I actually went and spent money on clothing because I hadn't bought any clothes in 5 years that I needed, and even longer, because there was some shorts that I had since like early 2000, if I would say 2012. Oh my Lord. So I had shorts that were 10 years old. I still have them. They're in a bag, but, because I'm donating them. But, if the only reason that I'm buying the new clothes is because I don't fit in anything, because thank you, pandemic, I put a couple inches in the waist, so I had to buy new clothing for the summer. So, just be aware of what you're buying and what you're getting, and make sure, if it's something that you can use, because at least this is the way that I feel. You don't have to listen to me. Of course, you just listen to me every week talking about whatever, but you're going to live your life. But this is what I learned from this course, was like everything that you have comes from somewhere. Somebody had to make it. There was people working. And just like with, eating out. There's people working behind the counter. Are they considered a slave? And in my opinion, I think everybody is a slave to society because we have to pay. It's not like um, where you can just claim this land and start building on it. It's not like that anymore. It's like somebody owns this land, somebody owns that building on that land. There's the electric company, there's the, water company, there's this company. It's all just a bunch of us working to have somewhere to stay, sadly. But you know what? With this pandemic, a lot of people have gone against the grain, have become independent contractors, and are doing their own thing. But that's neither here or there. You know how I get off topic sometimes, so we're going to get back into this. Um, so, the intro and the beginning of the human trafficking discussed those things. And then we just got into deeper things, just like, what is human trafficking and what kind of human trafficking there is. So when you think of human trafficking, what is the first thing that you think of? For me, before I took this course, it was people, because I know people who have been human trafficked, and it was mostly for sex trafficking. And so sadly, that is what I knew of human trafficking, was the sex portion of it, and possibly like kids being taken and put in factories, and women being taken and put in factories, because I live close to the border, the Mexican border, and we have signs up that have warnings on it, which I didn't really see how many there were. Like, I've seen them, but until I took this course, then I was aware of it. So from there, we're going to discuss the laws of human trafficking, because, this week here in Arizona is actually um, is Human Rights Week, I believe it's called. Yes. Arizona Crime Victims' Rights Week is this week from April 24th to the 30th here in Phoenix, Arizona. While in Arizona, Governor Ducey, he signed legislation to ensure the victims of a sexual crime are not charged for any part of the medical or forensic examination related to the crime, which is really cool. It's good because America's healthcare system is not very cool. So it's really cool that he did that. So in the course, we did have to research our region and find out what was going on in the areas, and finding out about the laws in our area was something that we needed to do. So in 2019 is when Governor Ducey did the bill for the he signed the bill which protected the victims of child sexual abuse by extending the amount of time victims had to pursue civil action against perpetrators. I don't know how to say words sometimes, so just be patient. So then last year, he did put in effect the $1.2 million in the Victims Compensation and Assistance Fund to assist hundreds of Arizonans who are victims of crime and need financial support for counseling and other necessary services, which does include human trafficking here, and sex trafficking, and all trafficking. So that was something that he did do very well. This is his last year as governor, so this is something that I actually, am glad that he did. You guys know my feelings on him, so for something out of the past however many years, this is his last term, I think, so it's 8 years, that he can be. This is something good that he did. I don't want to get off topic. I know how I get. So that is something that he did very good for the state of Arizona. So there's laws all over the world for human trafficking. For some of the course material that we went over was, state, countries, information on all of this, and like, what does like what does other countries do, or what big law company, law company, law division department does for human trafficking. So we looked for all these things all over the world. We learned a lot of information, and I did share with you guys the things that I learned about that. I know that we're gonna currently. So I did discuss. So right now we're gonna discuss who's at risk. So I know that I did talk about with you guys about the little kids that were trafficked into slave laboring, and they were gutting fish and cleaning fish and like all hours of the day. And some of those kids would get eaten by tigers or other animals, large animals, or they'd get raped by the people watching them, or they would get killed. There was just so much information that on that. So, we have to think about who is at risk, but we're going to discuss who's at risk, but not make it to where it is where you are scared to live your life. Because, like a parent who is into true crime, they because of us being on 24/7, we do know that crime and these kind of things happen, and there are a lot of helicopter parents out there who don't let their kids do anything because they're afraid they might get taken and what have you. But there is risks out there, but it's not to the point where it'll happen to your kid, because it is very unlikely, but you just need to be aware of the situation. So let's discuss who's at risk. I want to give that information to you guys, because I didn't want to like just talk about Arizona's information, because I know I could go on because I am from Arizona, but I know a lot of my listeners aren't from Arizona. So, especially the ones that'll be listening from my course, because I think I have to post it in there. So, are your kids at risk? Are your family members at risk? So the one thing that I did really learn about um, being at risk is the LGBTQ community, the youth, those kids that are kicked out of their houses and have to live on the streets. They are at risk of being human trafficked, sex trafficked. They are put on the streets by their parents because they're disowned and they have nowhere else to go. So where do they go? The streets. And how do they make their money? They become prostitutes. They sex traffic themselves, or they become sex trafficked by an older person that they meet, or they become go-go dancers. There's so many things that could happen. And this could happen to any heterosexual or anything like that. But the gay community, because they are at a higher risk at this, because of being disowned and kicked out and needing to have money, they are. The number was really high. It was like 40 something percent or 50% of LGBTQ youth members that are human trafficked, which is a lot considering, almost half or a little bit above half are human trafficked, sex trafficked. So one thing I want you to be aware of is in your community for the LGBTQ youth, there are nonprofits that do have the help out there for them. Here in Phoenix, Arizona, and their satellite cities, 1 in 10 does have options to help the LGBTQ youth. I'm just going to start saying queer youth out because of the issues of getting disowned. It's been happening since the beginning. Parents are disowning their kids because they are queer, and so they need help. So 1 in 10 does have options here in Arizona where the kids can go and stay. They have boarding for them. They have any food. They did have a high school. I don't know if the high school is still going on, but they did have the first queer high school. So they're